Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Summit here on Fox Sports Radio 1340. That's right, Wrestling Summit and Fox Sports Radio 1340 has partnered up, and we're giving you each and every pay-per-view, each and every week. We're giving you wrestling news and wrestling information. Tonight, the Night of Champions. If you just watched Night of Champions, you saw, in my opinion, a good product put on by the WWE. A very good product. But before we get to the product, we can welcome our panelists for the night. We got Mr. Main Event, Brian Waters. What's going on, Mr. Main Event?
Well, I was hoping you was going to start with Champ Creed just because it's been a while. But, man, what's going on? What a day, man. Let me tell you one thing. This day sucked. The Orioles lost in the ninth inning. They gave up. Zach Britton blew the game. The Ravens defense lost in the fourth quarter, blew the game with under 30 seconds left. Tony Romo gets hurt. And then, the cap it all, Sting doesn't win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
No.
But, hey, I played drums today, so I'm feeling good.
Yes, that's right. We got my main man on location, never know, Mr. Everything, Champ Creed. What's going on, Champ?
What's going on, brother? Been a minute, been a while, but right now Sting is 0-2, and we got to talk about whether his return has been fruitful or a flop.
Definitely got to talk about that. We also got the lady of the house going to be joining us a little bit later. Mrs. Amber Rodriguez is going to be joining us in here a little bit later as well. Let's get this thing popping and get this thing started. We're going to start backwards with the main event. We saw the return of Kane, ladies and gentlemen. Saw the return of Kane. We saw Sheamus get an attempted cash in. We saw Seth Rollins retain the World Heavyweight Championship. For all you people out there, Five Dime and everybody else out there saying that Seth Rollins was going to lose 2 titles. As Stone Cold was saying, it did not happen. Seth Rollins retained the World Heavyweight Championship, and he put on. Look, if he could have did it, this would have been an Iron Man match by Seth Rollins by himself, but it wasn't. Guess what? Seth Rollins is that guy. He wore his, some would say, the Power Ranger outfit again, and I guess he got some power because he still is the World Heavyweight Champion in the WWE. Mr. Main Event, let's start with Champ. Champ, your thoughts on the main event?
Well, I can't complain too much about it because I didn't really expect too much from the Night of Champions, but, the fact that Seth Rollins went back-to-back like Drizzy and put out 2 great performances in terms of his in-ring work. The finish with Sting was kind of janky. Like, I didn't know if he was supposedly to have a concussion or blew out his knee or had back spasms. I didn't know. I didn't like the fact that the ref jumped in and interfered because, like, what is this, the concussion police now? Or are they part of the situation where if a wrestler gets a little bit tired, they need to come in and get a break? I didn't like the ending. I thought they could have figured out a better way to execute it. But I will say that reversal into a pin, that might have been the best reversal to a pin that I've seen since Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam almost 20-some-odd years ago. So I like the immediate finish. I didn't like the lead up to the finish, and I thought the match within itself was pretty good. Sheamus coming in with the false cash-in, that was pretty good, and then we had a Demon King return. So, overall I can't complain. That main event, I have to give it about maybe a 7.5, 8 the most. But I'm looking forward to see what happens on Raw tomorrow.
Mr. Main Event, your thoughts?
Well, I understand why. This is what I thought about when it was the 1, 2, 3, and Seth Rollins won the title, or retained the title, I should say, because Michael Cole made the same mistake. I thought about Triple H is sitting there with his headset on, you know how he always does for NXT, and laughing at us, saying, ha ha ha, they thought Sting was really going to win the belt. They actually thought a 50-year-old man was going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. As a fan, like I said, I'm disappointed just because it was something I wanted to see. It's a match I've been waiting to see for a while, just Sting in that light. But nonetheless, hey, it didn't happen. And there's Amber.
Quarterbacks work.
It didn't happen, but it was, therefore, it was, just looking at it for what it is, Seth Rollins just showed his dominance, beating yet another legend. So.
That being said,
turn your radio down. Turn your radio down.
Amber over there trying to make sure her fantasy football teams.
I know, right?
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Actually, turn it down all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. We get technical difficulties out the way. Even the John Cena and Seth Rollins match was pretty good in my opinion. I thought the Seth Rollins John Cena match was good leading up to the main event of the main event. I thought they put on a good show. Was it as good as Baltimore? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was really a decent match that put on. John Cena got the U.S. title. One thing I didn't like was the promo leading up to the U.S. title. You know how they show all the former champions? I didn't like the fact that MVP wasn't up there. He's the longest running United States champion, and they did not show him. I have a problem with that. I understand why they didn't show Hulk Hogan. They didn't show MVP, who was the longest running U.S. champion. You show Harley Race. You didn't even show Dusty Rhodes, who was the U.S. champion. Lex Luger, who was the U.S. champion. It's many people that you should have showed. Yes, I understand you in Houston, Texas. It's Booker T. You want to get the loud pop, but guess what? There was other better people who could have been U.S. champions than they could have showed on that reel, on that road. Amber, your thoughts on the main event of the night, Seth Rollins taking on Sting, also taking on John Cena.
Yo, you gotta turn your TV down, sweetie. Like mute, as in mute, like not volume, mute, like because we can hear everything.
All right, that's better. That's better.
Dude, you just compared Sting to Flair and Hogan, but is it because you've been watching him in TNA, or is it just because he's just over the hill and you don't want to see nobody over the hill perform? That's what I'm trying. I gotta figure out. Cause come on now, this is Sting we talking about. Never before the WWE ring, until WrestleMania. Never before the WWE Championship match. Come on now. I understand that. I understand that, but I'm just saying. I mean, I know you just came on, but I was saying earlier I was disappointed because I just wanted maybe just one last piece of my childhood possibilities. I knew I wasn't going to get another Hogan run, obviously. I know I'm not going to get another Flair run, but I had enough of them. I never had a Sting run in the WWE, even if it would have been just for 24 hours. I'm not going to say 5 minutes, because I didn't want to see Sheamus cash in, but if it was just going to be for, just a month, I would have been fine with that. That's just me. That's all. All right, well, how you feel about Rollins? Cena regaining the United States Championship.
I think it was predictable. Like, I saw it coming. I think anybody should have seen it coming. Cena's the poster boy. Like,
Definitely is the poster boy. I think everybody saw that something coming. Even Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, and all the other people out there. Nothing against people who can't see, but they saw that coming. You know what I'm saying? Saw that one coming. Everybody knew that if he lost one belt, it would have been the U.S. title, because it makes Cena more relevant again. He made the U.S. title good for what it was worth. So with Seth Rollins now being still the World Heavyweight Champion, I think, Brian, you talk about your childhood seeing Sting get that one more run. I think we see Sting for a while. I think we may see Sting as we know now, Hell in a Cell is the next pay-per-view, and the main event at Hell in a Cell is Undertaker taking on Brock Lesnar in the cell. You know what I'm saying? Taking on Brock Lesnar.
But hold on. My question is this, right? Okay, so you bring him back to be an attraction, of course. You bring him back for nostalgia purposes. You just bring him back as another key player. So if he's not in the title picture or the main event picture, you have to set him up to feud with someone else. So at this point, he's 0-2. He's lost to the Authority. He looked weak on his loss. It's a way you can look strong during your loss or look weak. He looked weak in both of his losses. So now, who do you book him up against on the road to Hell in a Cell?
You get a chase. I mean, he's chasing right now. That 0-2 could be a good thing. Remember, Daniel Bryan went on his losing streak and finally got it, and it took the crowd, it blew the crowd up. If Sting goes on a chase and he loses, finally gets back in it, and maybe a Royal Rumble, maybe a WrestleMania. You know, I don't know.
I can't see it. B-Dub, how do you think it matches up now? Because he lost weak twice. Like, it's not 2 strong losses, it's 2 weak losses.
At this point, you know, the way I look at it is, in this case, he put Rollins over, but I understand, I can see what you're saying as far as 2 weak losses. I don't need to, now that he's lost, I don't need to see him in another title match, certainly. And if I see him in matches, I'd rather just see him in tag matches like I saw Monday night, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think he can go like he used to. But, hey, we digressed. I'm going to skip around in the card. Another big thing that happened was the opening match of the night. We have a new Intercontinental Champion. Kevin Owens, is Mr. Knockout himself, is the new IC Champion, beating Ryback in a pretty decent opening match. Brian, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on the opening match with Ryback on Kevin Owens?
You said exactly what I wanted. I'm glad you said that. We knew Ryback was going to drop the title. Let's be real. We've all been watching wrestling long enough to know when something works or something doesn't work or something kind of seems forced. You know, so, you know, Ryback, he just wasn't a good champion. And even on the microphone, during the promos leading up to it, he really couldn't keep up with Kevin Owens. What I was impressed with, that they were able to go out there and put on a very entertaining match to start the pay-per-view. And Ryback didn't look like he was being carried. In fact, he looked like he was learned a lot compared to what he did when he first started, but he just looked a lot better than what he did in previous times.
Amber, your thoughts on the opening match?
I agree with what Brian said completely. Like, I love the push that Kevin's getting, by the way. You know, I think it's good that a lot of indie to mainstream people, you know, like Kevin Owens, and, you know, like Sasha Banks and all of them, I think it's good that they're pushing those people.
Yeah, they're the future. They're the future. Champ.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, I think that Ryback had a really good run. I thought that his IC title run would be actually maybe like a year ago or a year and a half ago. They gave it to him late. Unfortunately for him, Kevin Owens is just on like a really good run right now, and his run kind of like supersedes Ryback's run. So it makes sense. I can see them going back and forth for a little bit, but I'm clear, like right now, Kevin Owens is just a hot commodity. And he's gonna take that IC title and he's gonna run with it, and he'll transition into the main event again relatively quickly. As far as Ryback goes, I really don't know who you can match him up with and what kind of feud you can give him, for the simple fact that, you know, I think his time is gone. I mean, he had a window to shoot and grab the brass ring, and now I just think his time is missed.
Well, you know, he got one more rematch with Kevin Owens, so let's not forget that. So that ship has not sailed yet. He still have a rematch clause, another match with Kevin Owens. We know if he gets his rematch tomorrow night, WWE has sailed that ship. You know what I'm saying? If you get it that soon, that feud is over. Now, if they set it up for Hell in a Cell, then okay. Now Kevin Owens and Ryback got a little feud, at least for a month. You know what I'm saying? At least for another month, they got a feud. And we got something that can go on in that realm. So I like Ryback, tell you the truth. I know we all know there's a Daniel Bryan's IC run that should have been going on. And that, so
I didn't even have to say it this time.
Yeah, you didn't have to say it. The truth is the truth, man. If I got to mention DB on the show, I mentioned it's DB's IC run. How great would that have been if we'd have had Daniel Bryan and Kevin Owens tonight? You know, that would have been off the charts. But we didn't. So we got Kevin Owens as the new champion as well. And then this is the one that everybody saw coming, especially since what happened on this past Monday night. Everyone, if you didn't know that Charlotte was going to win the WWE Divas title, something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Since we got a lady in the house, we're going to start with Amber. Your thoughts of Charlotte winning the WWE Divas title for the second time in the week.
I mean, it was only a matter of time. I saw it coming. I'm really happy for her. I don't have any negative thoughts on that. And, you know, like I said last week, I'm really happy to see the progression of the women's division. So more power to her.
Yeah, Mr. Maven, your thoughts. I got a little say something on that issue, but go ahead.
I've said this time and time again. It's not that I'm not impressed by Charlotte. I just don't like her as much as some of the masses does, because what I see is why everybody's, the I guess corporation is screaming Charlotte. The fans are screaming Sasha.
Sasha.
So that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's who I kind of would rather see in that light. I've said this time and time again. The person that gets hurt with Sasha is Naomi, because what I see is Farouk being Naomi and The Rock being Sasha Banks, or vice versa. You know what I mean? But I will say this: when you take it to Twitter, there's more Sasha and Naomi fans than there are Charlotte fans. So that's what I'm saying when I say that the corporation sees Charlotte. Yeah, she got the look, but to be honest with you, I mean, I watch a lot of women's wrestling. She doesn't like get me like, oh, I have to watch a Charlotte Flair match. Sasha Banks, I have to watch a Sasha Banks match. Even what's her name? Becky Lynch. I want to see her matches. Bayley. But Charlotte Flair, I mean, she's good, don't get me wrong. She's solid, but I mean, like her dad, sometimes you see one, you see them all.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Can she wrestle? Yes. Is she amongst the top? Yes. I just think it's a situation now, like I said with Ryback, yeah, he's good. He's quality, but Kevin Owens is just riding high right now. He's on a streak. He's got a little hot streak. And I think the same thing is going on now with Sasha. Yeah, Charlotte's good, but after that NXT match against Bayley, like, Sasha's stock has risen to another level. And, corporate's screaming Charlotte, the streets and Twitter is screaming Sasha, and it never fails that they don't adjust on the fly. Like, they don't. They say, okay, well, this is hot right now. Well, let's throw it in. And then sometimes they may wait a while for it to die down, and then they give it to whoever's hot at the moment. But by that time, the momentum is gone, like similar with Ryback. I thought Ryback time was when he beat Punk and was standing on the top of the cage yelling, "Feed me more." I think they should have did more with him, but they slowed it down. And then when he got the belt, it just didn't have that same feeling. But I do think with Sasha that when she gets it, maybe Royal Rumble around that time, or maybe she'll be in the pursuit of it on a road to Mania. I think that type of window and her type of talent, I don't think it's a matter of, I don't think time will be an issue. I think that whenever she gets it, the fans will be happy.
My thing is this, and and I kind of agree with Amber. It's good to see the women moving on and in WWE, moving them to another level and getting that the amount of time they get to perform. What I'm saying? A nice match was a good 14, 15 minutes. They had a lot of time to perform in the ring. My issue is, it's not really an issue. I'm happy Charlotte won it. Now you want Sasha to chase. Because if you look back at NXT when they was wrestling, Sasha was chasing Charlotte. That what made great TV down in NXT. Now let's be honest, everybody don't watch NXT. They didn't see the chase from the beginning now until it culminated with Sasha Banks winning the title. So now on the main TV, on the main roster, everybody can see the beginning of the chase, and they can see the culmination of the chase whenever it ends. And that's why I like the fact that Charlotte wins. And plus, you said it, champ, Charlotte has to finish what she has going. I mean, Sasha has to finish what she has going on with Bayley right now. Yeah. And that's the ladder match. You can't have your Divas champion on NXT wrestling in a ladder match for the NXT title. If that's the case, why did you have her drop the NXT title in the first place if you will give her both? You know what I'm saying? You got to have a little bit of a gap between those two there. But it's good to see the women wrestlers moving in the right direction, and I continue to hope Triple H move them further on. I'm gonna give a pause for the cause right here because I'm gonna go to the match that I really wasn't interested in, and maybe one of y'all can talk about it. That was the Dolph Ziggler Rusev match.
That was my popcorn break.
That's the match I wish that if my phone charger had to die, instead of dying at 10 o'clock where I had to leave to go to Walmart to pick up another one, I wish it would have died around that time. Because, first of all, when you wear a lady on your trunks, I thought that usually meant that you're trying to disrespect your male counterpart in the match. Him wearing Lana, it was just real awkward to me. It's like, okay, you're trying to be Rick Rude, we get it.
Nah, yo, this dude's whole past 4 years of his career has been awkward, man. I'm done with him. They need Corey. Corey said he's listening, and Corey, nephew Wiz, if you're listening, please give us an idea of what to do with Dolph because I'm done with him. You know what? They need to trade him to ROH for Jay Lethal or somebody because I don't want to see Dolph Ziggler on my WWE screen anymore. He's got to go.
Amber, you were smiling the whole time we commented on Dolph Ziggler. Your thoughts on this match?
It's disappointing to see that he's where he's at now because he had so much potential, at one point. I mean, I just think now he's more bland, and pretty much what everyone else said.
My thing is what's amazing to me is, and I'm looking at it from a different perspective. He just signed a new contract. And my thing is, was this contract just for money? I mean, I'm thinking when I sign a contract, I want to get something out of it. I want maybe get a title reign, I get a push, get something. The story with Rusev, and I know maybe because Lana got hurt, it took a sour turn, but it was already at a sour turn before they even had this match. It was dying in my eyes. It was dying. To me, so many soap opera gimmicks don't work anyway. You got to be able to have something. The Rick Rude and Jake the Snake, all that back in the day.
That was classic.
That was classic. You know what I'm saying? The Hogan, Elizabeth and Macho Man, classic. So many relationship things, but you using B+ divas that's going on. Let's be honest. Summer Rae, B+. Lana, because she hasn't been in the ring, she's just a valet. B+. I know some people say, oh, she's a good looker, but guess what, man? She enhanced. I don't like the WWE. I'm still salty about the fact they broke Lana and Rusev up in the first place. They should have did it. You know what I'm saying? Let them stay together, and that would have been that much better. But that was the match. I was disappointed in the match. I was disappointed in the. I know they performers. They put on a good. I was just disappointed in how that shaped out. You had this guy Rusev who went a year undefeated. He loses to John Cena at WrestleMania and have not been the same again. And they call Triple H the person who buries people.
Well, let's go. Let's talk about the next one because that was such a disappointment.
Yo, then we have this one. My tag team right here. I don't know what's up with Xavier Woods' head, but I'm saying every time he got red streaks in the head.
I saw a meme. And they were comparing him to Rufio from Hook.
From Hook. Yeah, that's where he got it from.
Well, you guys remember, he's a nerd. He's a dork. He's a geek. He embraces all that. So,
Hold on. Wait, did y'all peep how he played the Final Fantasy Victory theme? With the trombone?
Right, exactly. So, for us, for the 90s kids, look for more stuff like this. He's going to be doing, I think this is just the beginning, to be honest with you.
No, this cat that had the bad outfits on this earlier this year. Dressed up like Jim a couple weeks ago. I really enjoy the New Day now. When it first came out, I'm like, oh. Yeah. But right now, I can't wait to see the New Day on my television screen. And for my daughter, 2-year-old, come out, they'll be like, New Day? It's just funny to me.
Well, to be honest with you, right there, I'll start with Champ Creed because I remember he was the first person that sent me that match before, it came, it was leaked out before it hit the air, and he said, man, let's see what this goes. Let's see what, he didn't jump right on, and I admit, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, let's see where it goes. Then I got really irritated by him, but I said, I think I said this last week, I had to have a personal revelation and understand that the issue was that I wanted Kofi and Big E to be something else. I wanted to see aggressiveness out of them, and to be honest with you, that's not them. What we get is what I'm getting now. I'm happy with. I think that I wouldn't have felt that way had I saw Kofi and Big E like this first, as opposed to seeing them like this. Seeing what they was before and then seeing them like this now.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to the Chris Jericho podcast not too long ago, and we're going to talk about Jericho in a minute. But the one thing that they mentioned was that the concept of a New Day was, Vince gave it to him, and the music was off, the outfits were off, and they trying to creatively contributed to making the changes, but something really just didn't click. And Vince couldn't understand why the fans didn't take to him So this is the ultimate example of taking what you're given, putting in your personal flair to it, and then transforming it into something that's a monstrous hit. Like, these guys are a draw. Like, you can put them co-main event and the fans won't mind. You can put them, they're not main event level yet, but with the antics, the hilarity, and actually the quality of matches, New Day's putting together some really, really good stuff, a lot of classic meme-worthy moments. And I'm really happy that they finally found something that works for them. And I'm looking to see how far they keep it. But the only problem I have is they need to change Big E's outfit if he's going to be doing all that dancing, man. They need to bring his pants down a little bit to the quad.
But you know what, Champ? If I can step in right there, I'll say they are main event worthy in the sense of main event tag team worthy. They're actually a tag team that's main evented on Raw that you actually like. It's interesting. When they were here in Baltimore, they teamed up with Seth Rollins to go against like John Cena and the Primetime Players. They open the shows, they close the shows. It's they're not on the Shield main event level, but they're not just a bathroom break tag team anymore.
Agreed.
And I feel like they were that way when they first came out. They just annoyed us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think G-Lo's making some modifications right now in terms of the programming structure. So what I'll do is I'll throw it to you guys, and I want to talk about this Chris Jericho popping up as the special guest tag team partner of the Shield. I'll weigh in later after you guys, but G-Lo, tell me, what was your thoughts when you saw the countdown clock ensue and Chris Jericho come out to match up against the Wyatts with Braun Strowman?
I thought it made sense. And this is why I thought it made sense. And I might be in the minority who thought it made sense. People looked for DB. People even looked for maybe Samoa Joe. People looked for Baron Corbin because it was coming out. Something was, as the dirt sheet said, it was leaked by the WWE. This little picture, right? This is first of all, you gotta believe dirt sheet. This is a $1 billion company. They don't just leak stuff. It's put out there intentionally to get you to talk about it. This is what companies do. You know what I'm saying? Just like Jordans are coming out. Whatever case maybe they leak. Anyway, it makes sense with Chris Jericho. He's been on tour, going on the house shows. Think about it. Last time he left, it was because of Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It allows him to come and team up with some of the younger guys. And if you saw the match, it sets something up later when he decides to return full-time after his concerts with Kiss and all this other stuff he's doing. To set something up maybe for him and against Roman Reigns, him against Dean Ambrose, whatever the case may be. So it has a purpose, and I like the fact it was Chris Jericho because the other guys, how can you just bring somebody up from NXT to take on the Wyatt family and expect them to make a dominant impact?
Well, with this
one more, Brian. And you can't use The Rock because that's the waste of The Rock in a mid-card match.
Yeah.
I think it's really random. Like, I don't know. Of all people, I just thought it was really random. Like, it doesn't match. Like,
No. You're right. It didn't.
Well, here's the thing. You hype it up. Oh, but Dean told me to call this guy. He told me, and at first I was like, we can handle this ourselves, but you know what Dean said, call this guy. So what I'm expecting is that you have this massive guy, like, what's his name, Bray Strowman or something?
Braun Strowman.
Yeah. I get his name mixed up. You got this guy who's been beating and throwing Roman Reigns around, right? So when I see this, and I'm thinking they're going to call somebody else, I'm thinking here comes a larger-than-life character. Now, to be honest with you, it wasn't until Champ Creed put out the lines about Daniel Bryan before Daniel Bryan actually popped in my mind. Yes, for once, when it came to a surprise, I wasn't thinking about Daniel Bryan. Of course I was thinking of Rock. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, G-Lo. It would have been a waste, and I agree with you 125%. But because The Rock is, I'm going home and I'm never leaving again, I thought maybe he would slip in and just do a program real quick. After all, we always say here, they got to compete with Monday Night Football, and guess what? Sunday night too. So I thought that maybe perhaps you bringing in somebody who's a larger-than-life character, a larger-than-life superstar. Then when I see Chris Jericho, I was disappointed because I feel like when you bring in Chris Jericho, you don't have to surprise me with him anymore. Those surprising me with Chris Jericho was fun in 2007, and it was fun in 2011. In 2015, it's just like, oh, it's Jericho. It's not like we don't listen to him all the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He has his podcast. He does house shows. So it's not like we don't know these things. So don't surprise me with the Chris Jericho. Just tell me. I would have been fine. I still would have watched the match. But understanding from that point of view, that's where the disappointment was. Now, taking it to the end of the match, if it doesn't end in a Jericho-Dean Ambrose feud, I'll be disappointed. That's the feud I want to see. I don't want to see Jericho and Roman Reigns necessarily. Would it be cool? Maybe. But I want to see Jericho-Dean Ambrose because I feel like Jericho can kind of put Ambrose onto that even bigger level, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think they would have a decent match. I think that's something that Dean Ambrose needs, is another person that they can dance with right now. I think the WWE's problem, and in my eyes, is they're not heavy enough at the top. They got too many guys. They got which means they got these. Everybody's stuck in this middle section. You got Seth Rollins, who's the man. You have John Cena, who's always going to be in the main event card. You have right now Sheamus, because he has the briefcase, is going to be somewhere in the main event card. But you have these other guys who are stuck in the middle. Your Randy Ortons, your Roman Reigns, your Dean Ambroses, your Bray Wyatts, who cannot at this time get to that next level. And Jericho could help a Dean Ambrose maybe get to that next level. But right now, you got a lot of these guys that clumped up in the middle, and they need to separate themselves.
Well, think about this real quick. For the past 5 years, for the most part, right, we know who was going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. You know, we knew last year, we knew that it was going to somehow be Roman Reigns just because he was Superstar of the Year and whatnot. So we knew it was going to be Roman Reigns. The year before that, we knew it was going to be Daniel Bryan, regardless of what. They said this, that, and the other, but we knew it was going to be Daniel Bryan. The year before that, everybody knew it was going to be John Cena and The Rock. Mm-hmm. You know, so. And then, we knew, we had an idea who was going to be in the main event. This year, who can you really say going to challenge Seth Rollins for the belt at this point?
Yeah, we don't know, man. But going back to your point, like looking at this surprise partner situation, after the match, I looked at it as something to where this was set up to put Braun Strowman over. So now my thing is, if that is the intention to put the big man over, you're better served having him destroy another big man. And just thinking about it, if you're going to go the Legends route, could have went Kevin Nash, could have even went Vader, like just for nostalgia of another big man, being taken out by a bigger man. I think that would have had more weight than the whole Jericho situation. Plus, it's like they saying Roman Reigns has this guy's phone number or Dean Ambrose. Like, what are they doing calling Chris Jericho? I don't see those guys calling each other. It just doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
My one person that's champ, you said that I could have thought of would have got the same amount of pop Chris Jericho got, but also a legend, Mark Henry.
That would have made even more sense. In Texas, it's the little things like that. Mark Henry in Texas, tough guy. Is already there, but is he injured though?
Don't know.
Okay. I don't think so.
Yeah, don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. But it would have made a little bit more sense on that, But overall, I thought the pay-per-view. Oh, got one. The pre-show. Let's go to the pre-show. Y'all.
I didn't see the pre-show.
What did watch the pre-show? Hey, I watched the pre-show. The pre-show. Look, Cody Rhodes. People complain about why he came back as Stardust and not Cody Rhodes. Because Stardust gives him a character. Cody Rhodes puts him back in the middle of the pack. Being Stardust helps he helps elevate the ascension to these guys wouldn't even want a pre-show months ago. You know what I'm saying? These guys wouldn't even thought about now Cody Rhodes in this wasteland thing they have going on, Cosmic Wasteland, is helping them the Ascension come back with a sin back to the picture again. Amber, your thoughts on the pre-show, the Ascension beating Neville and...
I didn't see the pre-show, but I do agree. I think that Stardust is the best character that he's had thus far, and like I wish he was doing that, from the beginning. I did like Dashing Cody Rhodes though. I think that was a good character too.
Yeah. Dashing Cody was good. Dashing Cody was definitely a good one. I think, you've seen him evolve and embrace who he is. I think I said on last week's show they gave his dad some polka dots, and he embraced the polka dots and made him cool. They had him put on some face paint and act kind of crazy. He's embracing it and is making it pretty cool.
Yeah,
everything he's had, he's taken it and ran with it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no problem. I was going to say the same thing. They gave him something, and it actually works for him, and it makes him stand out on the roster. So I don't see anything wrong with that. He just needs to get a couple of wins, man.
Yeah. Wins and losses do make a difference. As some people say, wins and losses don't make a difference. It makes a difference, and I think Cody Rhodes, Stardust, is relevant again in the picture, and hopefully they'll get a shot at tag team title somehow, some way, and he'll be able to move up, in the IC realm. Brian, your thoughts on Stardust?
Man, I love Stardust. I wouldn't be mad if he went back to Cody Rhodes, but you just made a good point that I didn't think about. It does give him a character, gives him an identity. But, if he was Cody Rhodes, he probably would kind of fall into the same avenue his brother did when he was in WCW. He was just Dustin Rhodes. I don't really remember much outside him being Dustin, as opposed, just being the son of Dusty. So.
Yeah, that's it. Overall, the next pay-per-view, we got Hell in a Cell. We haven't talked about this, and I want to bring it up before we even get to it. Undertaker, Brock Lesnar in the cell. Brock is on his tour, on his, what's Paul Heyman calling it? Road to Hell tour, or whatever the case may be. He's going to be at Madison Square Garden taking on a big show. He's going to be on Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. He's going to be at the Hell in a Cell in Los Angeles taking on the Undertaker. I, for one, is ready. I'm ready for this match, and I'm glad that WWE didn't wait until WrestleMania 32 to have Undertaker versus Brock 3. Amber, let's start with you. Your thoughts on Undertaker and Brock Lesnar 3, this time Hell in a Cell.
I'm looking forward to it. I remember their other feud, a while back. I think they have good matches together, and I've enjoyed their matches together. So I think it will be good.
Definitely. Brian, your thoughts?
So, not to try to sound like a health nut here, but every time, the past 2 times The Undertaker and Lesnar have fought, they have quote-unquote gotten Undertaker's collapse, right? So have reports said.
Like what I said about Sting, he's not in his prime.
So now you're going to put him in the cell with Brock Lesnar? If he want to do it, I'm all for it, and I'm going to watch, obviously. Their match the last time in Hell in a Cell, it was entertaining, but, this one just seems a little bit more personal. It's not for the WWE Championship. It's just going to be, 2 guys just wanting to beat each other's, what. So, but I think this is the perfect pay-per-view for it. This might be where we see Undertaker go home now.
Yeah, I can't see him go home in a Hell in a Cell in October. If he's gonna go home, it's got to be in WrestleMania at Texas, man.
You can't expect too much more out of him, though. At the same time, like that time's coming soon.
Yeah.
You made a point, man. That it's not. This is not it. Think about it. He's wrestled. This would be his 3rd time wrestling this year on a major pay-per-view. And I know the Wizard will hear. He would correct me. But he hasn't done it in a long time. He wrestled at WrestleMania. He did. We had SummerSlam, correct? Now we got Hell in a Cell. Hey, if this is not the Undertaker's Go Home tour, I will say that this is the Undertaker's Go Home tour. You know what I'm saying? That he's wrapping up with the major pay-per-views, but it's not the last one. I do, I know it's early and the match just been announced tonight, but I see Brock actually winning this one, handily in the cell.
Ooh.
Well,
wins.
Look, either way, the way that they put it together, the rubber match, the trilogy, The Hell in a Cell's the Undertaker's domain, his territory. So storyline-wise, it all makes sense. Even if you didn't like the finish for SummerSlam, it now all in its totality makes sense. Depending on who wins, I mean, I don't see either one of them losing in a weak manner. You know, like Undertaker won in a crafty manner, which speaks to his, veteran resiliency and his wherewithal, which is something he had to resort to going up against someone the caliber of Brock, who is in his prime. The old man, it's like, you play basketball against the old guy in the park, and he can't dunk, he can't do a spin move, he can't do a crossover, but he always does these crafty moves from like the 80s or something and figures out a way to score a bucket. So that's what The Undertaker went through. He went to his crafty arsenal, found a win, but in the Hell in a Cell, he's not going to be able to do that. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be a lead up for a good match. And whoever wins, at this point, I just want to see a good match. I really don't care.
Yeah, I think we get some blood here. I think it's going to be a great match. But stay tuned.
We gonna get some color, like Stone Cold says.
If we don't get color in this match, I'll be surprised. I'll be totally surprised if these two guys don't beat the living piss out of each other, and without there being color. You already know now that's the main event. I don't see anything else being the main event that could take the place of that. That would be the last match to shut the house down.
Yep.
If it's not, then I totally be surprised.
In a PG era, do they go to the top of the cell?
Yes. You had Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins go to the top. Well, you had J&J Security go to the top of the cell. You had Paul Heyman go to the top of the cell when he gets CM Punk. So I think those two go to the top of the cell. I'd be scared for the Undertaker to go to the top of the cell. Truth be told.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't before, and Undertaker was in a lot better shape. Lesnar went up to the top and just held up the belt, but
I don't want to see Undertaker on the top of the cell at this point. He can't even make it to the top of a skateboard without falling at the back of the stage, man. So he needs to just keep his feet planted on the canvas and let that be that.
Yo, speaking of canvas, and I don't want to give this. Well, I'm gonna give it to it because we talked about this on our group meeting. I think something needs to take place and something needs to happen. It needs to happen now. Fans, listen to me. You're not wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Please do not run to the wrestling ring. Please do not. If you, ladies and gentlemen, you missed it, please watch the Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose match again. It's kind of hilarious. You see Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose in the ring, Bray Wyatt sitting there, and you see this clown dressed up like a Shield member, bald head, run down to the ring and hop in like he's their partner. And then what makes it even worse? It makes it even worse that he gets tackled and Bray Wyatt is like, "That's your partner right there."
That's what was the funny part of the whole thing was. That just shows you, like, that's Wyatt. Like, when he's fully immersed into that character.
That's your partner, Dean. Is that your partner? That's who you bring to the ring.
That's who you bring to the ring. I think it's stupid because, look, we said this on a previous show, and I'm going to say it again. Back in the day, this would not have happened.
No.
And, let's be honest. On the indie circuit, I don't think this would have happened.
I was getting ready to ask Amber that. Have you ever had that issue? Somebody try to run in the ring?
Yes, I have. In Memphis, Tennessee last year. It was a group of kids, actually. And security didn't do too much about it. But it's scary because you never know what they have on them, what their intentions are.
Oh no. Listen, I would train to become a professional wrestler in the hopes that someone would run up on me while I'm in the ring. That'll be the last time. Might be the last time he uses legs. Because that's what you got to set an example, and that's the difference between the previous eras versus now. I'm pretty sure if you go on the WWE Network, if they didn't edit out when they were doing the NWO angle, and that guy tried to run in, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall just laid waste to him, there's been so many situations where I've seen, like, the old guard, they handle those things accordingly. And because they did, you didn't see a lot of it. Now, like, it's so passive, like the guys want to avoid a lawsuit or you want to – no, you have to take out the next person that tries that because what you're doing, in essence, is you're protecting one of your coworkers. because there's going to be a day that somebody's a little bit more off, especially with all the stuff that's happening now, where they may sincerely think that they're a part of the storyline and try to hurt somebody, you know? So I think that the next person that jumps over the barricade, they just need to get punched in the face. They need to get kicked in the gut. They need to get hurt and dealt with, so that way the crazy people will say, oh, these guys are crazy.
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, you will not see anyone try to run and jump in the path of a boxing match. You damn sure won't see nobody try to do it at a UFC event.
Right.
Because they already know what they're dealing with. But they feel that they can get away with this because it's pro wrestling.
And don't in soccer matches and football matches they take you out just the way you wish the wrestlers would do, right, Champ?
Oh yeah, they leave your sneakers where you standing and your body's on the pavement. So I mean, my thing is next time, sometimes you got to knock somebody out to make an example. And even though they're crazy, even a part-time crazy person recognizes when they're about to get their ass handed to them. You know, so that's what they got to do for the next time out.
Yo, they do, and I mean, to me, like I said, Amber mentioned it was scary. I'm a fan, you know what I'm saying, and I have a fear for some of these guys. The guy who walked up with Seth Rollins a couple of weeks down the ramp, he walked down the ramp with Seth Rollins. That's enough time to jab you a couple times, stick you. The guy who almost stabbed was a Dean Ambrose. The fan who threw the briefcase at Roman Reigns. The fans who jumped into the ring in the middle of the ring and put on a wrestling match. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 incidents this year in the WWE where fans have jumped barricades. But as you said it, because ain't nobody put wood to these guys yet.
Well, I mean, you gotta worry about lawsuits too.
Well, no, there has to be something in the fine print that says if you attempt to cross the barrier, it's a signal of a threat, and our talent has the right to protect themselves. They have to write something in there because, you know, I'm telling you, the more this goes, it's a copycat situation, and it's going to happen more frequently until one of these days, someone bold enough is going to take a swing at somebody, and it's like you got to stop that before it gets to it. You got to nip it in the bud.
And this is my thing, and we'll move on. And anybody else can jump in. You don't want something to happen to your talent on live TV.
No, not at all.
That's the worst thing that can happen. If something happened to a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, a Diva, or something on live television. In the day and age we live in, with social media and networking and all this stuff, if something happens on live TV, yeah, you'll get ratings, but it's not the good type of ratings that you want. You know? So that's my thing. You don't want to happen on live TV. Fans, pay your $50, your $150, and stay in your seat.
Or pay your money to go to wrestling school and wait your turn.
Yeah, go to wrestling school. And one thing I do like the WWE's doing, they don't put these guys on camera. They switch to somebody else. They do something. The other night with Seth Rollins, they switched to a promo until they got the dude out of the ring. So
because they don't want to encourage it. They don't want other people to see that and think it's cool and try it too.
Right. That's exactly what it is. But some idiot. That next thing is they can start selling alcohol. Cause I swear all these people are, you know, sipping a little too much sauce.
Yeah.
Which I know we digressing, but can you imagine the mind of this person? You sat the majority of the show waiting for your opportunity to come up. I'm getting ready to go now, guys. I'm getting ready to go now. It's my time. I see. I'm gonna be the third guy. I'm going now.
You know, that's one thing. But tonight's guy, like, and let's not give him any more time. Like, the thing that bugged me out is like he had like a black leather vest with some fatigue. Like, he was really in character. Like, he sat down and went to a Walmart and said, you know, bring me this in size 36. I want these boots, and bring me that old FUBU vest.
He plotted.
He plotted. He mapped this out to a T. So, you know, I like to leave it where it is on that.
Leave it where it is. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give our closing thoughts for the night, closing thoughts on the Night of Champion pay-per-view. Mr. Everything, since you ain't been here for a while, we're going to start with you tonight. Your closing thoughts on Night of Champions, Pro Wrestling, and Monday Night Raw.
I mean, the last time I watched any programming, it was the debut of Braun Strowman, and then I watched tonight, and I feel like I really didn't miss anything while I was gone. So I think it was, like I said, I give it a maybe a B minus or a B at the best in terms of a pay-per-view. So I really don't, can't say too much about it.
All right, Brian, what's up with you?
Oh man, well before I get into that, just to see, as I'm out here on the Twitter world, shout out to everybody listening. Thanks as always, thanks for retweeting and tweeting at us. There's reports that Sting was hurt, and that was legit, and the match was actually supposed to go on a little bit longer. Like I said, this just reports, we're not claiming that we know it all. We are stating that this is a fact. So let me just put that disclaimer out there. But the Sting was hurt, and his back injury caused them to just make the match end that way in a small package.
Okay.
And then
Because he's
also,
not in his prime.
well, look, just because he won the title the day you were born, calm down. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm just making a joke.
It might be
Close.
true.
It's close.
Right, but there's another unfortunate incident. Kurt Angle's brother looks to have been arrested.
Oh yeah, man.
Homicide
Wow.
charges. Thoughts go out to the victims. I don't have sympathy for people who decide to do homicide, to be honest with you, and so I'm not going to sit up here and say, free my homie or free Kurt Angle's brother. No, if he did it, he need to pay the prices. That's the bottom line. But my final thoughts, let's pro wrestling, get it together. I wanted Sheamus to attempt to cash in. I wanted them to ring the bell. Then Kane come out. The bottom line is, if you don't know by now, I do not want Sheamus as my WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I will not watch the segments in which he will be on. Make sure you are tuning in to the Wrestling Summit every week, and make sure you're tuning in Fox Sports 1340 every single day, and you're on the website every day at 24/7, because there's always content, especially the Twitter handle.
That's right, Amber, you're close.
Program director. I know I took that spot. That was your line.
No, you good though, man. You good. I appreciate it. We all work together. Amber, your closing thoughts.
Well, before I was cut off, I was going to say, I also give it a B. I think wrestling's getting more entertaining for me anyway, because for a while I didn't really watch it as much. I wasn't super interested in it. But now I'm getting to where it's exciting for me again to sit down and watch it. So I'm looking forward to, what they do in the future. Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. If I could step in for a minute. Everybody, as you know, Cherry Bomb was injured last week. We're doing on Gimmicks 24/7. Shout out to Yolanda and Blake Thomas. They have a fund. If you you could purchase pictures, and all proceeds will go to Cherry Bomb's medical fund. So I just wanted to make sure I got that out there.
I'll definitely do that. Definitely do that. We saw Russell at G Global Force here in Richmond a couple weeks ago, prior to the injury, where she did a good job at one of the matches of the night. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Mike Knox, aka Mike Gibson. Happy anniversary!
Yeah, happy anniversary. Mike.
Happy anniversary. Which he's not here tonight. I know some of you want to see Mike, but he'll be back with us next week. The Wizard himself is on the way back from Philly fan. You know how
is he crying on the way back?
I don't know if he's crying.
The tears
I don't know.
Streaming down his face as he rides down I-95.
I don't know if he's crying or not, but they look bad today.
I want to brag to my brother about that victory. It's just pretty cool that the Cowboys have beaten two friends, two fans, this great show, this great family set we have here. Because Keith Amber's a Giants fan, and Giants.
Wait, I'm confused, Brian. I thought you was a Ravens fan.
Both.
Ain't no both.
It is
one team, man.
No, says who? There's no rule book. I'm 29 years old. The Ravens are only 20 years old. So I was a Cowboys fan first.
Hold on, wait. So that means that the Ravens were around when Sting was in his prime, correct?
They weren't. Sting was just. Actually, they were, but he was about to leave his prime. They weren't around for Flair's prime. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, hey, all I can say is pound HTTR, and that's hail to the Redskins today. And Matt Jones with 123 yards and 2 touchdowns as Washington gets the win. But nonetheless, closing thoughts for the night. Fans be fans. Enjoy the product on the side of the ring that you paid for. You know what I'm saying? That's in your area. You don't want to be that guy who get their butt whipped, who gets stoned. I can just see Randy Orton being that guy to get somebody to RKO just because they ran into the ring.
But then everybody's going to jump in to get it. They're going to want to take it.
You don't want to see it. So don't be that person. I think the pay-per-view tonight I give it a B from even the pre-show to where it's to the end. I thought it was okay. Some of the matches I thought was predictable. You knew that the certain person was going to win. I think the ending, they gave me a good surprise. Good to see the old Kane back. Depends on how long he's going to last. Seemed like he's getting ready to work a program with Sheamus. And we see Seth Rollins. If Sting is can find that fountain of youth and come back and take on Seth Rollins again, I like to see them go ahead and get it, and I like to see Sting actually win the title. But all in all, the pay-per-view tonight, Night of Champions, was a good pay-per-view. WWE is doing great things in the wrestling world, and I'm looking forward to Monday Night Raw because they have to compete with Monday Night Football, so that means we get better wrestling, if you know what I mean. We get better wrestling, better product. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here. Check us out each and every week here at the Wrestling Summit. Check us on Twitter at Russell_Summit. Check us out on Facebook at Russell Summit. Check out the Wrestling Marks of Excellence. Check out the Wrestling Realm. Check out the BDSIR Network. And check out Champ Creed coming to a TV somewhere, anywhere near you, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? Oh, by the way, I want to close one more thing out. Bellator storyline. King Mo, you wasn't hurt. You dodging my man, Phil Davis. You dodging my man, Phil Davis. You dodging Phil Davis. Your ribs ain't broken. If you want to settle it, Fox Sports Radio 1340. Good night.
All right.